All right. Um, Time is 7:05. We had minutes, and we're not going to be able to approve them tonight because we don't have a quorum. But Mike, there was an adjustment that you had mentioned in an email you wanted me to make, and I don't have it in front of me now. Could you tell me what that was again?
Yeah, I don't have the language right in front of me, but it was it the last meeting, one of the meetings in November? We had two in November, so I don't remember which one it was. Um, you had mentioned that I think it was Veronica had informed us that there was an item on the town meeting agenda having to do with zoning bylaw, the outdoor lighting zoning bylaw, which I think we had briefly discussed at that
Right.
meeting. And she indicated that the that there was going to be a provision that identified the building commissioner as the enforcement agent, or the person who enforces that. What I wanted to clarify was that that change applies to the general bylaw for public lighting, because the zoning bylaw for private lighting already is enforced by the building commissioner, but it was ambiguous in the other bylaw, which is for public lighting, like schools and town buildings, who enforces that. And that actually became an issue because I had complained about some lights some time back, and the building commissioner said, well, I don't enforce that, at least anything having to do with the public buildings. And then,
Was
I
that
asked,
correction on the agenda, Mike, or was it on one of the minutes?
that was on the minutes.
Okay, I got
For
to find your email again because I wanted to assure that I've properly entered that, which I guess we'll do at the next meeting. In
yeah,
the meantime, I may be in touch with you to get another copy of what you corrected because you probably have that on your computer somewhere. I can't find it.
yeah, I can just
Oh, there
find
is a
it and
correction.
send it
Okay,
to you.
I did find it. And
Find it.
there's an attachment. There it is. Okay.
Oh
It's,
yeah, and hopefully it was in like a red line.
it's from the minutes of the second. And I'll look at that now. Minutes on the second. Enable editing. And we apparently already made that adjustment on the minutes. Where did I do that? I'll just check and make sure that it's done the way we discussed. All right. Agenda. Ongoing Green Communities grant funded program. Well, we have to talk about this now because we're running right up to the deadline. I can add. I wrote in the agenda that as of December 20th, Karen Chapman had not received the information she needed to close out the work. I had a meeting with Eric Slagle and Karen. Veronica was there. We had discussed what was going on, and as the beginning of middle of November, rather, Eric was supposed to keep working on this and get Karen the information she needed. I called Karen or sent her a text, asked her if she had what she needed, and she did not as of the 12th, and she has a deadline of the 15th. The actual deadline to turn all this stuff in is the beginning of February, but Karen needs time, and there may be time to get this stuff inspected if we get what we need comes through in time. As of today, Eric sent a message out to Karen asking her what information she still needs. He apparently thought that since we got a notification from the schools that all the work had been done, that would be fine. But she needs some more granular type information, and she hasn't got it yet. So that is still being worked on even today. There's nothing more I can give you on that. The next block, Green Communities Grant Funded Program. Now, I have asked RISE to update their quote, and I feel badly about doing that because he's going to do a lot of work and we may not even be eligible. So we'll find out. We have to proceed as if we are going to be eligible, though. And having done that, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, presumably, at least that work wouldn't be totally wasted because it could probably be used in 6 months, or would it have to
Yes,
be
that's right.
redone again? You know?
I think the lighting part of it would be easy, but they may even change the rules again.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, just
You-
so I understand, you've looked at in more detail than I have on the latest on what kind of projects are favored and that stuff. So LED lighting is not going to be funded, but that restriction, it does not apply to schools. Is that what the story was?
That's cruel. That's true. They are still doing funding for lighting at schools.
Okay. Hence, you included some of those I noticed in the sort of
Yes,
request.
and um, well, I guess what we talk about next is the that I set priorities, and I sent the actual copy to everyone, so you know
Yeah, I actually have it
we
open.
both have it,
Yeah.
Mike. But the priorities were set basically for three things. We set priorities for, based on whose dime. In other words, if you're looking at a town building that's not a school, the town would have to pay out of pocket for those things that we choose. And we sort of have to recognize as a committee that we don't spend money. We have to have the town say, yeah, we want to do that in order to pick those items. Those are the LEDs that are at anything except the school. And the very small benefit items I took out, I called them no. We're not really, it's not a priority right now. The ones that would save a lot of money or have high efficiency for us are listed as high in that first column priority. I did stay decarb in that column for those things that we'd like to look at the decarbonization quote. Remember, if we were to do a decarbonization item on this, there are things that we would have to do as well, even though we don't really want to, because you have to complete a building when you do the decarbonization. In other words, go electric or the heating. That's their rule now. The rule might change again later, but part of the urgency here is, of course, is that the rules might change at any time, and we may not even be able to get funds for doing lighting at schools later. Go to other funding. So we'll have to see what happens. But that's how that was done. First priority was kind of equal weight. I did whose dime is who's paying. I was shooting for maximum ROI and energy and reduction of emissions. And the third criteria was to finish a building. Find a building that almost done, but not quite, and finish it. That's another priority. Anyway, we don't want to take too much time on that because somebody else may want to know when we have a meeting of time. Get rid of that. Next on the agenda. The next block. I had mentioned last time, I had learned by attending a seminar that there is such thing as a special projects eligibility in the program. So I asked Karen if we qualify. And it's a special eligibility that allows you to get funds to do things that other people can't do. And so I asked, does Townsend qualify for the special projects eligibility? And it requires 6 years in good standing in the program and a minimum of 15% energy reduction over the last 3 years. Karen did the calculation apparently within MEI and learned that we have a 7.45 reduction in energy usage since the baseline year and only 6% over the last 3 years. That means we do not qualify for a special project. Along these lines, we don't even, I'm trying to learn the MEI program. And I have done some work. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but we'll probably have to explain this the next meeting anyway. But when you download stuff from MEI, if I could have the screen, Mr. Hartley.
Okay, Ron, give me a second here. Okay, you can go ahead and screen share.
I'm not sure how I do that at this end. What am I supposed to do here?
There's I see a share screen. It's like a green button on the bottom. I don't know if
Right.
it's the same view.
Yeah, the green button should say, move your cursor a little bit and it might come up. I know that it does with my laptop. You'll see at the bottom a green button that says share screen.
Not right now. Not getting it. Work on it.
Hey, Ron, I was just going to ask you if you could hear me. What is it you wanted to share? Because is it something that I have?
I don't think so because it's something I've been working on frantically for the last 3 days, and I don't think I've given it to anybody. I even worked on this afternoon, so. I'm not satisfied with what I have because the numbers I gave you include something that I worked on a couple of weeks ago. And that is, I apparently included in these numbers Squanicook. And I had inquired of the town, is Squanicook being used as a school? And they said, no, it is now being used as administrative office by the schools. So I probably shouldn't even include that in our program. I have to determine whether Karen included it or not.
Yeah,
Because if she did, and
I don't
also
know if what the implication is, in other words, is the fact that it's not literally a school, but it's a building used by the school district. Does that make a difference in its eligibility? That I'm not clear on that.
Well, the school was not eligible because we didn't have, we were told, we actually selected stuff to do for the school in the last grant, and then we had to go back and have another meeting because Squanicook was not eligible.
Yeah, I
And
don't
we
remember
added
why.
fluoride.
Why wasn't it
That-
eligible? I don't remember.
Right. We still don't have a clear picture of why it wasn't eligible, but
Yeah.
they used oil there for a while too, so when the whole eligibility thing, it's in the chart, and I'm not sure Karen would have pulled it out, when she did her calculations. Also, I spotted a few places where they have no values. They have quantities, oil, for example. We burned 60, 70,000 gallons of oil in the 10-year period, but most of it was 5 years ago. And they have the usage gallons shown in these calculations, but they don't have any dollar value. Now, I don't know whether the program applies a dollar value at some point, but without a dollar value, we're not getting, the reduction values, because you should have a much higher value in here for the oil usage years. And if they don't have a value for the oil per gallon, how much did we spend on oil, then that value, that high value, didn't even go in the front years. So I've got to have a better understanding of how this program works and, where these values are coming from and what they do. If they haven't given us a dollar value on any oil, which was all, 8-10 years ago, we stopped using oil apparently in 2016. That's the last oil value I have. The last 5 years should have shown, well, obviously we used more gas, therms, but we used a lot less oil. And that should have been reflected some reduction in emissions, So I don't know how that's all calculated. So I have to work that out. Anyway, that's still being worked on, and we'll probably hit it at the next meeting with more clarity, I hope. The next thing on the agenda was the master plan development subcommittee. I'm going to ask, Ed's not here, so we're not going to get into that. At the last meeting, I believe, when Ed was introducing this idea to us, Mike, you mentioned along the way, you questioned whether, we needed to revisit the, where am I? Whether we needed to revisit that document that we had, where we had created the subcommittee, because Ed's changing the way it works, And so I did study the document that we had given to the Board of Selectmen for approval, and in the way it's supposed to work. And what I was trying to show in that next part of the agenda is that reading this, I believe that the subcommittee can, according to the original document, have the flexibility and adaptability to change the way this is done. They can change but at some point we have to go back and get approval. And what I wanted to talk about at our meeting is that I wanted to assure that we're all together, especially, and certainly Ed, that there are elements of this original plan, things that it did, that we still want to make sure get done or not. Like, for example, the public meetings, the information sessions. How do you do that when you are meeting people in the way that Ed has suggested? Is sending the goals off to the committees and having them have their meeting and decisions on the plan. How do we facilitate assuring that they have the knowledge they need to do that? It's still, that kind of stuff is up in the air, but it needs to be specifically understood that we still want to see that happen or we don't. And certainly the Board of Selectmen has to have a word in this, Teresa. Oh, hi, Kath. We've decided to keep this meeting short. We don't have Ed tonight.
You're muted, Kathy.
Excuse me?
Oh, no, I thought Kathy was saying something, but she's muted.
Yep, I was muted.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, Kathy. Ed's not here.
Yep.
And a large part of the meeting was dedicated to the formation of goals.
Okay.
And he was handling that as a subcommittee. So, we're most of the way through this meeting, and we haven't had any votes because you weren't here to help us. I
Sorry.
understand they may have to make an adjustment with one of the minutes anyway that Mike made suggestion. I have to go find that. So we're well into the meeting and almost done, but we'll and Brent didn't come. We thought he might show up, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. That's when residential energy aggregation was also on the agenda tonight. Teresa, do you have anything more information for us on that? I decided that I'd let you tell us what the most recent thing is because I never have the most recent one. Teresa?
Yeah,
You're
no, I
muted.
don't have, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I know.
It did come up on the agenda. It will be on, we have the town meeting warrant, up on the 24th. And that's about all the information I have.
Okay, 24th. All right, that's all. That's really all we had. If we wanted to bring up any other topics not raised before, we can do that. I think Mr. Hartley, we're going to have to figure out how I can at our next meeting actually make sure that I can actually broadcast my screen.
Okay, well, I don't mean this to sound pejorative, but that would really be a matter for your own laptop or desktop, whatever you're using, because I've given you the co-hosting powers from my end. The problem apparently is on your end.
Okay, it may be the way I open, because this is the first time I opened from your email. I usually open from like the town calendar or something, but I didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't offer you more advice on this, but
This is Zoom, right?
right.
Well, I try to open it with the Zoom program. Maybe that'll work.
If you have to figure a way to get together and we can practice it together.
Yeah, we can try
yeah.
that. Thank you for that suggestion, Teresa.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
can do a meeting and we can go back and forth and practice it.
Are you doing this from your phone?
I am online from the phone, with you from the phone, yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not. You don't have all those
Yeah.
features. Because I can see you have like a vertically oriented portrait, thing. So that's more of a fun.
Well,
I'm not sure phones would have the screen share, the green screen share button the way laptops and.
I now see a green button.
Ah.
Now, there is a green button. It's way up there at the top.
All right.
Zoom. It's just a reference to the Zoom meeting is all it is.
Oh,
It just gets me back to, where I started. Oh,
There's one down below, right in the middle of the screen. It says share screen.
Right. And another thing that happens when I'm using this on my laptop is all of those features disappear unless you kind of wake it up by moving the mouse.
Yes,
So
that's
I don't know
true.
how, but I don't know how that would translate to what you should do when you're using it from a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, move the mouse around a little bit and you'll see the, well, hopefully you'll see the various,
On the phone, the share screen is right next to raise hand. At least it is. Do you have raise hand and participant?
Where is it?
On your phone, if you go to the bottom, you should see mute, start video, participants, raise hand. Do you see all
No,
that?
no. Because
Okay, so if you hit on your icon, you hit on yourself, you should be able to pull up so that you can see like unmute, stop video, etc. on the bottom.
no, I'll handle this for next time.
Okay,
What I'd like to do now, is just try to get a new meeting date, and we'll put it out 2 weeks. Hopefully Ed will be able to join us at that time, and we'll have a full meeting. Does that work for everybody? That's okay. That's really where we are.
I'm sorry. What were you
I'm
suggesting?
suggesting that we set a date for a new meeting a couple of weeks out.
Oh, okay. The only thing is, I'm going to be actually away from starting on January 26th through February 11th. So it would probably have to be after February 11th. Well, unless
We do it the 25th. But you'll be going away the next day. You don't want to be worried.
right. No, I wouldn't do it the 25th. I mean, next week, maybe.
Okay, February 11th,
Yeah. So
you're getting back.
yeah.
So we've got the 15th or the 16th of February.
Yeah.
Is either one of those in a holiday week? Is that a holiday week?
Probably no. I think the following week is President's Day.
Yes, the following week is President's Day. So it's going to be the 15th or 16th. Does either of those work for you guys?
Probably the Thursday, the 16th would be better.
Okay. That okay for you, Mike?
Yes.
16th, Thursday, the 16th, 7 o'clock, and I'll check and see if Ed can join us then. If not, we'll be back to you.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry we weren't able to really complete this, but there still seems to be some details to be handled on the spreadsheet and a couple of other things. So we'll have all that for the next meeting. Mike, were you able to get together with Ed regarding the goals?
No, I got as far as sitting down and reading some of the stuff that Ed had provided, the different towns and what goals they had, and kind of sat down and honestly I didn't come up with anything good enough to suggest we change what Ed had suggested, which was basically taking the goals from Shirley. That looked good to me, and that's about as far.
I'm wondering I was wondering whether we need to stick in, whether we need to make it more detailed, more directive. In other words, they mention alternative fuels in theirs, for example, but they don't talk specifically that much about solar. It's a matter of getting enough there so that it does sort of direct people, but leave the flexibility. The way I read the Shirley one is that there's so much. It's so loose that it doesn't help people, focus on what it means. And it talks about emissions rather than, CO2 levels and in terms of how the state wants to go. The state wants 0 by 2050, right? So that's where we should all be headed. That's what I think. Anyway, all right. So we're going to call this a meeting. at 7:35. Uh, 16th, 2/6. January, February 16th, 2/16/23. The next meeting, 7:35. All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.